put the votes on the data that you think is the most important, something that you really want to make sure that we're looking at tracking. And so let's say you feel like this piece of data is the most, you know, you can put all 10 of yours there, or you can put 10 different ideas. Makes sense? Everybody's got 10.
Yeah.
If you don't have 10, let me know, but everybody should have 10 here. And then
We have 11.
Everybody says, I hear higher, but I didn't want to say anything.
And then this family moved out of their house for 3 months. We took it over. I was all excited. They came back. She stood in the room and she goes, "It's an order."
you can.
And I got
Let me
laser
just look
readers
thing.
between one hand and the other hand, 20.
Tell me which baseline data.
It was like one.
Baseline data.
I think these are perfect. $22. Damn island.
Okay.
After that one?
Yeah.
I utilized some of my green dots
Yeah,
on
I
that one.
started it, but I'm not happy with it.
Are we-
Let's see what
are we doing that? Are we doing that?
But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
are we voting on just the most recent
Yeah.
charts or both exercises?
Great question. The question was, are we voting on the most recent or both? The answer is data. So it could be either as long as it's specific to data.
Got it.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Here come the green guys, baby.
We should just do this one.
Can you go ahead and vote for your group?
Put them all there.
So should we not?
It's not.
You know, look, it is huge to have the kids there. Incredible. It's really hard to say no.
It's typical.
Yeah, because the kids are very intimidated by it.
For the adults.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Tiffany, would you just re-explain for the people online that missed what the introduction is just for? Because I came in and that.
Yeah, they.
It's already done.
Oh, yeah.
It's $1 dot.
So you all are going to realistically have to work off of what you already came up with in your group. If you,
Sending them the pictures of this.
oh, perfect. Oh, thank you. So you're working off of the pictures that are getting sent to you and your group. You can use this time to just reflect on where you would put, I used money for you instead of dots because you don't have dots. And so this is individual. I guess this is individual work versus group work where you get to vote on the data that you think is most important. So you've got that $100 that you can put based on the data that you think is the most important. Let me know if that didn't help and if there's more questions.
Oh, yeah.
But two.
That's just. Here's about.
I think the most important. It was individual and also.
Ooh, $2 a piece now. Inflation.
Careful with that one.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
close. Really close. How you learn to pick up your place. Yeah, it is.
You think I was amazed, my friends?
We got all that shit done.
I am, Hannah. No, you're not.
Okay. I'm a program consultant.
Probably tape them. Yeah. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as there's a focus on data.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, so it looks like folks are mostly done. Just one more minute and then we will. The next activity.
How are you? I'm good. Oh, no. I have to drop it. Hi, Kim, how are you? I'm good. How are you, Rena?
Great. Things that you core. You really
Okay. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm Kim. Yeah, I know you, Tiffany. Yeah.
I can't even ignore that.
Informal ways.
There's the dunk.
We need some of these for some of our like.
Okay.
Liven it up.
Yeah, it's really funny. Way, I'm just a couple minutes too, so it's no problem at all. Okay.
And it actually will be lovely to have you in the next activity.
Okay, good. All these.
I just want you to know, that you did not leave early, for my presentation earlier in the week.
Okay, okay.
So
I was totally going to go see my daughter.
All right. So since we're running behind, I'm going to move quickly and do our final, there's another piece that I really want folks' input on.
I'm like, cannot miss it.
So thank you for putting your votes up. It's, I think, really helpful to see visually. You can visually see where people's interests lie. So again, my next step with that is to put that all together and feed it back. So that's what we're doing with that. To close things out, and what I did is I got permission to run till 4:10. So I hope that's okay with everybody, but I want to make sure we do this quick brainstorming piece around funding, because I think funding, and sustainability is just so critical, so important. I don't want to lose this. Okay. And so what I've done is shifted the activity kind of based on the time that we have. So instead of doing something else in small groups, we're going to do it as a whole group. And that includes the folks virtually, and then we'll do one final kind of decision-making piece. So what do we know about what's coming? We know there's increasing speed of change. We know there's going to be increased prevalence of lots of new technologies like AI. We know there's going to be an increase in extreme weather events. We also know there's going to be new and innovative solutions to existing challenges, because that's how we're built. So with that in mind, I want to do a really quick brainstorm in our groups around possible funding streams. How do we fund this important work? We don't get to the outcomes without the funding. And while we have everybody here, I really want to think through what are the possibilities. So just a couple rules of brainstorming. I'd love this to stay in the brainstorming space, meaning that we let anything be possible for a minute. And you'll have a chance to whittle something down. But for this next like 5 or 6 minutes, can we defer judgment, not critique anybody's idea? Can we encourage a wild idea? may not be possible, but you never know when it leads to something else. Could we go for quantity? Building on others' ideas. We're gonna stay focused on sustainability of funding. Yeah, I think that's good enough for now. So I'll stick with these, and what I want to start with is just 1 minute for you to think on your own before I ask you to share ideas, for those who like a moment to reflect. So just 1 minute to start thinking about what kind of funding streams, where could money come from to fund this really critical work? It's important. The more specific, the better, but if you want to stay high level, stay high level. If you have a specific idea, specific ideas are really welcome. And while you're thinking, I'll be passing out how you'll be voting.
Maybe I'll never know what the mark now.
If I had these in my wallet, my daughter would have got with them in like 3 days. I thought I had $5 up there, it's gone.
I think I should put this in my children's.
Get arrested later.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because my daughter took it out of my wallet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm gonna take some notes on here. So, all right, what's possible? How can we fund? What kind of, if we need to, want to, can access new funding streams, what could that look like? Or existing funding streams and ensuring that we sustain them.
Maybe this fits, doesn't, maybe it doesn't, but it seems to me if we had more programs alignment as far as what outcomes we are trying to achieve and report, if they were more aligned, there could be a lot more grading of the funds, which would expand all programs, essentially.
Great.
Related to that, leveraging the local workforce board so that you're funding in more impactful ways, which then creates better outcomes. Unfortunately, $40,000-$50,000 grants don't really do a lot. And so, if you use the local workforce boards to leverage those dollars, then that 40 or 50 could turn into 200 because they have other funds that they can grade with that.
We don't have any.
Is,
Different region.
are you, Hillary?
I'm just stretching.
Oh, okay. Is anybody able to monitor the chat?
I'm on it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Nice.
And I don't know, I track enough other than from my side, but is there a way to build efficiencies in the cost of reporting? I mean, some of these use the same program, but from where my view, from when I'm looking at, they're different. So is that a different bill? Does that cost double the money? Is there a way to build efficiencies in that?
You pay for each bill.
So if the categories were the same, but with like an extra box for which one it is in the same build, could that create, you're not getting additional funding, but you're maybe saving money on the costs of it?
We looked at that for one of our projects, and it is cheaper when they're able to kind of mirror, right, versus having to create a whole new thing.
But all the different youth programs report in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy. They need to align that.
Yeah, I agree.
obviously foundations and
And
philanthropic opportunities.
In your mind, are those the same or different?
Yeah, probably. Private, I mean,
Probably different.
no, probably the same.
Foundations, okay.
Foundations, they are philanthropic.
Great.
There is corporate philanthropy.
Okay,
I'd like to bounce off of that. My right is, thing that I wrote down is, what is our path to a bold ask of the legislative body, the governor, of foundations, groups, and of individuals who have yet to give?
You're saying legislators want.
the bigger, by bold, what do you mean by bold?
Like, we can design one bold ask and we can take it to 4 different
Okay,
entities. We can design a bold ask, take it to legislative body, take it to governor, take it to the foundation philanthropy, and take it to individuals, but yet untapped individuals.
yes, yes.
I think, well, I have two different ones. One is like even partnering, that's a really hard word, with, if it's possible to partner with like businesses, even local businesses within the region. So it would like kind of split costs, where maybe they would be willing to like hire, but we would do like, but like agencies would hold all the like liability and stuff, kind of, I think, or like somehow offset it. And then the other is, if it's, I know this is kind of like probably insane, but if there's a way to roll funds to the next year, so instead of it's like one and done, like, or you're going to leave it on the table, if there's a way to, if you have a sustainable program and you know you're going to do it next year and you have $10,000 left over, and now you're like, okay, I have a month left, we have to spend this 10,000, and you buy all these things, it would be nice if we could take that 10,000 and roll it so that that would continue to be sustainable. We can pay more, we can, or get more things, or I don't know, just, I mean, I guess the parameters would be nice, and partnerships with businesses and local places. You know, I know like a lot of businesses want to like, right, you want to keep your community growing and stuff. And one way, not saying that you want to like keep everyone home, but some people do just want to enter the workforce and those things. And I think that, you know, maybe partnering with businesses might be able to like offset some costs.
Right.
Because they
Got
could
it.
potentially get people.
Yep, great. I got it. I've written that down. Thank you. Because of time, let's do 2 more ideas. Thank you. Those are both awesome.
I think to make sure any of the money that we get from the legislature, we make sure that in legislation it's set up that it's a distinct and separate fund from general fund, because then we can carry that over a biennium. And we can also earn interest on it rather than having the gas get interest on it.
So legislature, separate and distinct fund, is that what you said? Distinct fund from general. Awesome. One more idea.
I would like to advocate, I'm gonna take this off of what I've learned with Clean Energy Workforce Coalition and the Interagency Wildfire Grant Coalition, to create our own coalition of the willing. We have existing FTE, we have existing expertise, and we have passion in our agencies, and we are not interconnected enough. And so I believe there should be within our position descriptions allocation to do interagency collaboration with every employee in the state. And that would allow us to have greater pathways of communication, more open doors to connect. So I call it the coalition of the willing.
Love it. I've got it. Great. So to wrap things up, I've given everybody $200. You have 100, you have a 50, that's some forced decision-making there. And I've written the ideas on here. And
How many more of these? Are you out of money? Get more money?
Did I not give you 200?
Oh, no, I was just wondering.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't know what the rules are. Can you So you're putting your money on the idea that you think, that you really like, that you want folks to pursue. And again, you can put all your money on one of them if you want that one, or you can spread your money out of it, and all of them are around here.
And what if one more?
Actually, I'm gonna move to that back table because I don't want people to trip. So I'm gonna go to that back table.
Yeah. Fake things.
Inflation, man. Yeah, I can kind of consider it like already. I don't do anything with it.
I just look at it.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
This house, and you look.
Phase it out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes.
That's what I thought.
She did. She's been working so hard on it. And she didn't make it right.
Douglas.
Yeah, it's hard.
So is she practicing like?
Well, she has been, but she's also practicing her years. Because she can close one eye, but her scope on it, right?
Yeah.
She's, yeah, yeah, like.
Tell Bridget that I told her I've done it.
She walks one out.
Interesting.
So maybe we get you a patch.
I think that's like.
There's something in your brain.
Oh my God.
So, you know.
Maybe told her.
Thing.
Why would we do that?
And.
That means you gotta get rid of your money.
Yeah, so.
So lucky I had her fighting. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a.
Pleasure to work with you, man.
I
Pleasure's all
was
mine,
there was a way to ask for help.
I realize that's such an awesome.
No, you can. The disappointment will be. Too much.
She'd be done. You had a $2 notebook?
I did. I got multiple $2 bills. I know.
How did you find it? My husband.
But it's all. This all.
Yeah. And it's winter, so.
My son had a stuff and he was just learning.
We're actually starting.
Okay.
Okay. It's just like a line item.
Great.
Okay, so because we're running a little bit behind, I really want to be mindful of the next folks. So if you could go ahead and place your money if you haven't already.
So there's more jobs to do.
Yeah.
And then if you have already placed your money, I'd invite you to come have a seat because that'll help the group come back. We do have another presentation.
Back to our setting.
Back to these, back to these.
Back to our chairs in 10, 9.
So, well, just to wrap things up, I just want to say thank you for all of the awesome feedback. I'll be taking this again and sending it. I'll be sending it to Doug. And folks who are virtual, I've asked them to email me, so we'll get their input as well, and I'll combine it all. And if you have anything else you feel really strongly about, you can email me, Tiffany Pern. I'll put it on the back wall if you feel really strongly that you think of something tomorrow and you missed it and you really want it captured. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'll be grabbing that and taking that with me.
So I think this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you all today. I apologize, I have to leave in 15 minutes. It's a choir concert for my kiddo. And I want to keep my cool mom status, of which I will not be if I am late. So, this has been an awesome day. I'm so excited about the work that we have ahead of us, and I think this will be a great start for all the awesome things that are to come.
Thank you. Any questions before we move to the final item of the day? Online folks hearing us okay still?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. Anybody in the room have any questions or online? And Kim and Amy, thank you. We apologize that we're running a little late. I'll take responsibility for that because we were sharing funny stories at the lunch hour.
No having fun at lunch.
It is, the floor is yours. Thank you for
That's
joining us
great,
today.
thank you. And it's always fun to be the last agenda item of the day. So we will try to make this interesting and we can be as brief for as long as you all want it to be. And I think that, because your agenda has you leaving at 4:30, right? Does it say 4:30?
It says 4:30.
It says 4:30, so, okay. So for those of you who I do not know, my name is Kim Parker Jadeneth, and I'm the Executive Director at Willamette Workforce Partnership. So we are the local workforce development board that serves the region that you are in. We serve 4 counties: Lynn, Marion, Polk, and Yamhill. So the broader area here, we're neck and neck now with our friends at East Cascades Works as the second largest board. So we've been the second largest board of the state for a long time, but the population in Bend is growing quickly. So Heather Ficht and I are like, and so appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you. This is really going to be the Amy show because she's done some amazing work. I'll let her introduce herself in a moment here, but I just want to kind of frame up where the camera is. So my apologies. Where is it? Remember me looking at it? I do remember that. I've never actually seen it in action. It looks like an owl. So random. So about what, maybe 3 years ago, Amy loves data. So for those of you who don't know Amy, she is like a little data nerd. And we started examining our youth program that's funded by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which, if you don't know, all local workforce boards have WIOA and fund adult programs or grown-up programs and youth programs. We focus on opportunity youth or youth that are at risk. And we were noticing, and I even remember I'm not a data person. I really value and appreciate data, but I remember noticing, I think, about the same time that the average age of our youth was like mid-20s. Early 20s, maybe 23, 24. And, maybe you're a youth at that age, but it seems like we want to get kids when they're younger. And Amy did a deep dive into data. And as a result of that, we have pretty significantly shifted the way that we contract with our youth providers and what we expect of them. Our contracting hasn't changed. Don't tell anybody our contracting changed with our youth providers. We get in trouble. But our expectations and our outcomes have shifted a little bit based on what we learned. And we are now at a place where we're actually seeing the outcomes of us changing our expectations of our youth providers. And so when we were invited to come and speak today, I thought this is a great opportunity to talk about something different because if you are familiar with workforce boards, everybody has a youth program and they look all a little bit different. For those of you who were at the meeting on Monday, I'll just a little quick story. When the Lane County program was it wasn't just Team Oregon Build, but the other program, I started getting a text message from one of my county commissioners. She was like, I want to do this. We need to do this in our region. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not at the Oregon Business Plan meeting. And so as a result, actually, I was just emailing her and we're gonna set up a meeting next week to talk about how we can kind of do something different, because that's how we really impact lives, right? Is do something different other than just try to get kids GEDs and shove them into a pigeonhole and then see where they end up. So with that, why don't you introduce yourself and build on what I've said?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Sarah Lopez. I am the program director with One Workforce Partnership. So kind of going off what Kim's talking about, around 2022, 2021, actually, I want to say it's 2021 is when we were actually seeing a lot of things happening, right? COVID, everybody had disruptions. We had disruptions. And at that same time, what we were hearing from our youth providers was that people were not being able to pass the math test of their GED program. That's the catalyst. One simple comment by somebody saying, boy, this is really hard. Everybody wants to quit our programs because they can't pass that math test. So for those who are not familiar with what you have to do to get your GED, you have to pass certain tests, one of them being reading, literacy, and math. So reading and literacy, generally really quick, once we've been able to get that out fast, that math though. And so we started exploring, well, what makes somebody lose math? And I remember, tongue in cheek being like, well, I couldn't pass this.
Yeah.
It's been forever. Like if my Excel doesn't tell me what the answer is, I don't know the answer. And then we started looking at the age, right? So Kim was like, our folks were older. You're right. They were coming into our programs at earliest at 19. The average was 21. So if you look at statistics at the time, people were dropping out sophomore year. Do you know how old you are at sophomore year? Does anybody remember? Or have kids? 15, 16, right?
Yeah.
How many years is that? Disengaged. And then let's introduce you to our programs, and FYI, there's a math test, right? That was our problem that we were trying to solve. And so we started digging into the data. And in fact, we went after ODE's data, Oregon Department of Education, because we thought, well, if this is the babies coming down the river, well, then we gotta go to the top of the river. And so we started digging in what was happening. And what we were discovering is Marion County had a higher dropout rate than the rest of the state, consistently, even to this day. And so we thought to ourselves then, well, what do? We can't help what's happening. The schools are closed. They're going through their own. Anybody that lives here in Salem Kaiser School District, you can't look at the news without hearing the dirty laundry out there, right? And that was even worse during 2021, 2022. And so what we thought was, well, how do we bridge our services to their needs? Maybe that could be something that could be helpful. And so that's what we did. We actually changed our contracting from saying just get individuals who are out of school to start enrolling individuals within 12 months of dropping out. Go talk to the schools and go talk to their dropout counselors, go talk to all those and figure out what's going on. And that's what we did. And so for the last 2 years, we have had a percentage of youth who have to be re-engaged back into our programming within 12 months, 365 days. So started in 2022. We are now looking at the end of 2 program years and evaluating the effectiveness. What we have discovered is we have increased the amount of dropout youth into our programs. The attainment of GED is still kind of the same, but we only have 2 years versus 3-year historic data. So it's just apples and oranges, in my opinion. However, those who do get their GED are getting them in half the time that they were before. So prior to that, it took them over a year. We are now at 6 months. So imagine that marketing. Come in, get your GED in 6 months, and let's get you to where you need to go, which is working. That's why they're dropping out. There was no belonging and they weren't working. And they were having some mental health challenges, right? So let's go back to 2021. The world's on fire in Oregon, especially in our region where we have fires everywhere. COVID's disrupted. People
The freeze, remember the freeze?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Very right.
crazy. 12-month period. It's nuts.
And we're still disjointed, right? And so we actually at the same time started looking at the whole person and we really started pushing behavioral health. And at that point, Measure 110 was coming down and we knew that was not going to work because we didn't have the workforce. We knew that before they, before rubber ink was on the paper, we knew this. And so we got the Behavioral Health Consortium. That has now been about 62 members strong. And what we have done now is actually work in collaboration with Salem Kaiser School District. And we have a peer behavioral health training program now as a CTE program.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, first year it was, they had they were able to, the first year was in the fall of 23. And, we were able to accept 40 students. They had 200 express an interest. And then the second year, they lost one of those students in the first year, only because of like the family moved or something. And then the second round, they were able to double it and they had like 500 interested. So with the conversations that are happening now are, okay, what else can we do for these kids? I mean, they're clearly interested. We need them in the workforce. So Chemeketa Community College, let's figure out how to get them over there and get them some credits and get them started if they didn't get into the CTEC program.
And we are, because we've also sponsored a CDC program with them for that as your certified drug and alcohol counselors, where we helped fund the tuition so people could go get that certificate for free. So that I think the last round of enrollments was in October. So we're, very recent. So we haven't heard the outcomes on that yet, but we'll be producing more individuals who can help address some of these needs in our region. And then the last thing is we did the Faces of Healthcare series. So if you have a fun little smartphone, you want to scan the lovely QR code because I made it in print, so I thought QRs made sense. You can watch the series of healthcare videos that we have created for you, kind of exploring those who work in the community doing the good work. So people can see themselves in it, right? Because you can't be what you can't see. So some of the good work that we have at WWP. I heard I had a challenge of 4:30 and I think I made it.
That's good.
Any questions?
So thoughts, questions, I mean, dialogue.
Was your program at all of the high schools or was it specific?
No, so this is not our program. Let me be very clear about that. But what I will say, and I have, the Salem Kaiser, I don't know what his title is, but he works at the district level and is head of all. Chris, yeah, what do you know what his title is?
Behavioral health.
Chris Moore.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
So he has said to me under no certain circumstances that he and the principal at the CTEC program. So Salem Kaiser has a CTEC building that is exclusively focused on CTE programs and serves kids from the entire district. And they were at a behavioral health consortium meeting, one of our first meetings, and heard about this workforce problem and knew they were moving the drone program out of the CTEC building to the Salem airport. So they had space. This was like in April or May of 23. And they put this thing together in like 4 or 5 months, recruited the students and got them in. I mean, it was just, and it all started because they were in a meeting and learning about it because they didn't, you don't know what you don't know. So it's really, really cool. And now, actually, I was just at the legislature this morning and the OWP lobbyist is also the lobbyist for a youth behavioral health provider of some kind. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Senator Deborah Patterson, who's from our region, is introducing a bill to expand and provide funding for CTE in behavioral health. I'm not saying this quite as articulately as I probably should, but generally speaking, they're looking for dedicated money to help support CTE programs statewide and it's based on this Salem Kaiser program. So cool, so cool.
So I mean, high school instructors.
High school instructors, these are in-school kids. I mean, these are kids who are in high school. One of our staff people, Kathy Moore, who works for WWP, her daughter is in the program. So it's kind of fun to hear about it, on this. And she's going to go to college. She's going to graduate this year and she wants to have a career and she wants to be a counselor. So it's really
Is your
cool.
area health, health education council involved in this?
Are they? I mean, like the CCO?
AHEC.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Through the CCO.
I would think.
Yeah,
it would be
I'm guessing they are,
all
but
over
it depends. I don't know the organization's name. I don't know that. I don't know what
I
that.
don't know what your one over here is. We have, Cascades East, AHEC, and we have, what's it, Eastern Oregon, EO, AHEC. And then I don't know the ones over here. There's 6 in the state though. But they do health education, throughout the state, and I would think
that they're in on our mailing list, or, I mean, I can't imagine we haven't connected with them, but I'd have to ask our staff person who actually does the work. Yeah.
What kind of relationship does the state like HEC have with the school? Is there that interagency agreement?
For data sharing.
you were talking about. Well, even interagency working together, like Department of Education with tech, I mean, it's, you have a.
We all start to chuckle.
There are data sharing agreements between, HAC, between Department of Ed, between.
OED.
OED. But I think it's probably a bigger process than it should be.
Well, it's very narrow.
Do
It's
you
very
add Oregon
specific.
Youth Authority in there by any chance?
I have no idea. That's.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think, I doubt it.
So, but
Because out in Burns, Oregon, the Oregon Youth Authority has a better classroom and better everything than the public school system. And then we have the Crane Boarding School too. So we always wanted to get Crane Boarding School, Oregon Youth Authority, and Burns High School all together in a consortium with Workforce. Because it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
we don't have so with regards to data, it's only a few agencies that cross pollinate. And we do not have a you shall collaborate and cooperate with your agencies. You're encouraged to, comes out every year, but there's never a you shall. So in example, disaster recovery, we have seven principal agencies responding, and there's no you shall work together. So we've done it on our own. And
That's
so
been my experience in our world too. You know, we have monthly meetings with Julia from the HEC and Jim from the employment department. And because we're like, we need to figure, and then all of the local board directors, is like, we have to force this collaboration because it's a coalition of the willing. That's a term that's used frequently in our world. So.
May I ask on the students, the reason why students are leaving school and thus eligible to enter this program? Am I reading the order correct? Homeless is the number one dropout reason?
If you have a characteristic of experiencing homelessness, you have a higher probability of dropping out than if you have occurrence.
Okay, but in terms of like, so I see homeless, English language learners, and then students with disabilities. Are those your top three categories of students entering the program? Have left the traditional school system because of those particular reasons?
They are alignment with what Opportunity Youth are for, but it's not necessarily one-to-one match of the highest.
Academic risk is huge. I don't know, is that counted? That should be up there pretty high. Because I know back in the day, they were building prisons based upon third grade statistics.
Yeah. That's the number one indicator.
So up to third grade, you're gonna pretty much be doing okay. Third to sixth grade, you're gonna be falling behind. By junior high, you're going to know that you're not going to college.
And maybe not even graduating.
And maybe not even, like sophomore year for our Native American students is the dropout year. If they don't, if they're not super athletes or they're not on that academic trajectory.
Yeah.
The other characteristic that we have seen, I don't know if this is official or not, are kids that are identifying as LGBTQIA plus. That's a real, and that is like exploding right now. It's like, wow.
As being participants in the program or
one of our dropping out.
And both. Also,
Both,
ODE
yeah.
did not capture that data. I could not see any of their record keeping prior to this last school year. So all of our definitions are based off the ODE definitions of their dropout. You can, if public, you can go on their website and look and read their characteristics.
Are there exceptions for that, within a 12-month period if someone really interested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
it's not a
only
requirement.
Gotcha.
No, it's a carrot, I would say.
Yeah.
And if, for our contractors, and, you know, quite frankly, we got a little bit of pushback from a contractor because it was a real shift, I think, is part of it. And also their perception, and this was the director of the program's perception, was when kids first drop out, they're not ready to get reengaged right away. And, you know, maybe that is true for some, I don't know. I don't work with the youth like she does, but directly, but, so it's not like if you don't get your GED within 12 months, you're kicked out. You're not kicked out of this. I mean, it's virtually impossible to get kicked out of this program, frankly, but we do. They do exit.
They usually ghost us. I mean, not the
Yeah, yeah.
right? They don't pick up the phone.
But it's an encouragement. It's like, look, here's the data. What are we gonna do to serve these kids and get them their GED as quickly as we can? And on the contrary, another one of our contractors has just embraced this. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. Look at how we can get because the trajectory, to your point earlier, the quicker we can get those GEDs, the quicker you can get on track and figure out what your next step is gonna be so that you're not 21. Let's figure it out when you're 17.
Kim, you're absolutely right, because I just had this discussion with my provider, and I said, you cannot bring a young person in and you assess them, and you're at the 3rd grade level, and you think they're gonna get their GED. They're not gonna get their GED.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense to put them into a GED program. They need other remedial services before they ever get to that point, because trust me, they're gonna be so frustrated. They're gonna ghost you, because it's like, well, I've been in GED class, I haven't passed one test.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're reading at the 3rd grade level.
Yeah.
And Rena, I'm glad that you brought that up because this is something that we discovered in the data 2 weeks ago. Or what was it when I said our ABE, they're coming in lower scores than I've ever seen. on the EFL.
Yes.
So
Which I blame on COVID, but we'll see.
Yeah. So historically, when we assess youth to come into our programs, they were hitting about 6 or 7 scores on the their EFL, which is education function level. We assess everyone. So for years and years and years and years, they were hitting 6, 7, right? 8 is proficiency for us. They're coming in at 4 and 5 now.
Technology.
Literacy.
Technology.
Is that it?
Getting school ready to read, huge. So when my grandchildren are on my phone and know how to do things better on this than I do, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So the screen time and technology, I mean, I don't.
Well, and it might be replacing other learning. Exactly.
The reading,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
if you don't have a parent sitting down reading with their child, 0 to 5, they're not gonna hit school ready to learn. So the comprehension, even the reading, even like when you read something on your screen compared to reading it in a book, your brain does something different. It's different.
So if we ever think of future work, we might be hitting a literacy cliff, let alone an essential skills cliff.
That's why they have AI now.
Yeah. We're just gonna get replaced.
I wanna we're right at 4:30-ish. If folks need to run, please do. And then, are we okay with just like 5 or 10 more minutes of popcorn? Questions or? Okay, are you both okay with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have no more meetings today.
Can I check online? I think Brian remains. Brian, if you have any questions, please jump in. Go ahead.
I was just saying good so far.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else in the room? I've got a few I'd like to throw your way.
Great.
Okay, so I don't think we're recording, right, or transcribing? How much time do you spend worrying about funding?
Oh, well, that's a really interesting question. In the last couple of weeks, a lot.
Okay, all right.
Based on what's happening in DC.
Okay.
And I testified this morning at the Oregon legislature because we need to make sure that the state investment continues and increases if at all possible. And we know that the state's budget is not in good shape.
Okay.
So historically, our funding has increased consistently. Part of that is all the COVID money. Part of it is that we're just doing really great stuff and we're good at getting grants because we have a great grant writer. But I definitely see the next 3 years. I think we'll be good through until the ARPA money dries up, which for us will be June 26.
Okay.
So I don't know what my budget's going to look like July 1st, 2026. I think it really depends on the state investment. I think our federal investment has gone down by 50% in 10 years. Yeah. So it's not, and now they're talking about reauthorizing the bill and putting all sorts of requirements in there that will just completely change what we do. So and that'll probably be rolling out about the same time, about July 2026. So for us, it's really about the state investment because otherwise we're just gonna have to really rethink what we do.
Okay. So I'm personally excited about the learning and sharing, and the sharing and learning that's taking place right now. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions on the things that you're developing. Are they open source so that other WTDB, local WTDB?
We share everything.
Okay.
We share everything.
And
With a couple of exceptions, the Rethinking Careers that's identified on there, we sell.
Yeah.
Because we have to, but we don't make any money on it, you know, of course, but we do charge a fee for that. If we do anything else that's not, proprietary though, I mean, I think that the local workforce boards are really good about sharing resources.
How is that going? How is that relationship and that network of sharing?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's probably, I've been in and out of workforce development since 2008. And I think that the relationship between the different workforce boards right now is better than it's ever been.
Okay.
And our state, that part of that is because our statewide association, the Oregon Workforce Partnership, is stronger than it's ever been.
Okay. So I'm looking at the mental health. How has that been shared with the Oregon School Counselor Association?
I don't think, well, the CTEC program or just our behavioral health consortium?
And all that you're doing. So your healthcare work, the focus on mental.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't done much on it. We did present at the Working Together Conference on the CTEC program and talked about our consortium and kind of how it all came together. And we had someone from Lane County. There's nobody from Lane County. There was someone in the audience from the Lane County ESD. And she said, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this. We just got a Future Ready Oregon grant to build a CTE program.
Right, great.
So, but broader than that, I don't know. I mean, Salem Patrick School District is probably talking about it.
Okay, that's my platform.
That's great.
The Oregon Rural Health, have you worked with them or talked to them about presenting or just spreading this?
I don't think so.
That would be another
Yeah.
really good. And then what made me think of them was you're probably aware, I mean, this would be good sharing maybe too, but High Desert ESD, what they have done with their counseling and OSU Cascades, they just got a huge grant from, I think, the federal Department of Ed they have a 5-year grant, like $4 million or something to get, I think it's 75 counselors into the complement to the system
Into the school system.
because we have such a problem everywhere, but that might be something to
That's
connect on
interesting.
and think about for future grants. I know this is at a different level. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's-
more of a master's level, but still, if it's happening there, how can?
Well, and the Central Oregon Workforce Development Board, East Cascades Works, also has a behavioral health consortium that is really robust. And so I bet you that they are involved in that.
Probably.
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's great.
So are the youth getting like, peer support specialists, like certifications or community health worker certifications?
They're getting something,
Yeah.
I need to commit this to
They're
memory.
still in the prototyping. I mean, this thing, opened in April?
No, but they're gonna leave, I think, with 3 different credentials. Yeah, but I can't tell you which ones. And I really should commit that to memory, and write it down so I can remember. I can't remember. Yeah, but there are super specific, and then a bunch of little ones like CPR first aid. I mean, some of those other ones too, but yeah. For sure. So they could go get a job right after they graduate if they're 18. So that's the other thing. It's like, depends on how old they are when they graduate.
So I hear this is an awesome sector strategy success story.
It is a super awesome.
Do you have your pulse on the next one?
Amy's like, yes.
I'm always 5 weeks.
It depends on who you ask.
What's the
Because I
data
bet
showing?
Amy's is not the same as mine.
What's the data showing?
Construction.
Let's talk.
100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Let's talk.
Yeah, right.
Hospitality.
Let's talk. Yeah.
Yep, I think it's both. Construction is an official sector strategy of ours, and because of some new funding we have, we're gonna be focused exclusively on construction. We have a meeting next week, actually, to talk about this. Dean Craig will lead that for us at the board level. But we're also toying with the adopting leisure and hospitality as a formal sector, because among other things, it is so effective at teaching young people essential skills.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, well, they're dead end jobs. First of all, that's not true. There are some really awesome jobs you can get in hospitality, leisure and hospitality. And even if it is not a career path, there's a lot of value. How many of us have ever worked in leisure and hospitality? I mean, you know, that's where I started, right? I mean, and what did I learn there at McDonald's in Corvallis? There's always something to do. Keep your workplace clean, show up on time, get along with others, take direction from your boss, you know, it's like, there's a lot there. So those are the two that I think we're probably focused on most in the next 6 to 12 months.
There is one cool thing that's coming down the pike from Department of Labor. We're almost ready to get a signature on the forest conservation technician and forest conservation worker. So that's gonna be available for pre-apprentice and apprenticeship, and then we're just gonna have to go through the Bureau of Labor and Industry to get that in Oregon. So there's gonna
To
be
get it as a registered apprenticeship program.
the occupation.
That is
Yes.
very cool.
So forest conservation technicians, we're really excited about.
There's been a lot of conversation this week about managing forests, which I think is really.
We didn't even have that designation for pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship, and, well, it's not there. So Department of Labor's just ready to put their ink on
Interesting.
paper.
Great.
May we say thank you?
Oh, thank you. Good. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
We're gonna wrap fire through the closing. Jeremy, quick announcement, if you don't mind.
Sure, anybody who wants to take away some hats, please feel free to do so. I'll take whatever is left back with me, but they're for you to enjoy.
All right, thank you for that. And then Ashley, a reminder of where we're gonna meet tomorrow morning.
Oh,
So folks can meet here, maybe in the library, the parking lot. Brian has a state van reserved, so he'll show up for folks who want to carpool, feel free. I know a couple of people are gonna just take their own vehicles. Jim and I
Live there, yep.
Yep, so we'll see you there. I'm gonna get there a little bit early just to say hi and make sure if Rep Evans is there, that it's a welcome and stuff.
All right, so 9 AM for sure at
Here in the parking lot for folks.
9 AM departure time, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so in Independence, we will meet you at
By 9:30.
9:30. Okay, all right.
And I'll meet you guys in a
All right, I just want to confirm the address that I have. Okay. Doug, Ashley, any last comments for everybody?
This is great.
Yeah. Can I say I once spent a birthday in Prague and this was way more fun.
Whatever.
Great learning. Did we lose all of our online? Okay, so we'll catch them tomorrow. Any other comments, questions before we say goodnight to the?
Doug, where do you want these little emergency contact things to go?
Ashley.
Okay, Tiffany, thank you again. Very exciting about the possibilities here. All right, with that, shall we adjourn? All right.
Adjourn.
Good night, everybody. All right, let's see you soon. Wait, we do that? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Linda, adjourn. Motion second. Maybe all those in favor of adjourning?
We're like, oh, man, the non-voters are like, please.
I'm going.
Yeah.
Ashley, are you collecting these for tomorrow?
You don't really need them, but I'm gonna save them for the next time we all see.
Thank you.
Chocolate, anybody want chocolate?
I'll say yes. Yeah, I would.
Just one morning.
And I touched on mentioned, executive.
He's on it.
Absolutely correct. We have the training center on Maple Road tomorrow.
For that,
Yeah, address that. I'm driving, so.
Yeah.
Well, that was what I'm.
It's supportive of the
You'll pick that up.
Close to where we are, yes.
Either way, I think it's.
Okay, that's.
Is it already on the state?
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Everybody mentioned the bus.
That's
I
great.
Really?
And this was like kind of different aspects.
Oh, okay, you want me to pick it up?
Yeah.
No, I'm driving back. I mean, was it announced? Cause I went, ran and talked to them. Okay.
I'm driving now. And you can always do it.
Parent organization.
Okay, that sounds great. I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I decided that it was five.
Washington,
Benefits.
Idaho,
It's like not fun, so I need to make that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sit down.
So. So just as far as like all these different little
No, that's.
things that overlap.
And
Kind of interesting ways.
Connect the dots. No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I am going to be your work.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Tomorrow, yeah, okay, awesome. Excellent. Yeah, Ian, we.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
You got it.
supervisor in Lodi, so he just.
No, he's such a good person. Like, yeah. And, someone else that was coming to back and chatting.
Years ago, I got trained to drive
Yeah,
bus. to-
he's amazing, we're happy to have him, and we got to sign our name.
I think it was part of CSEP.
Our, it's gonna be a.
Another training. I don't remember what.